Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communication. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. No decision yet on the TNT request for an amendment to the Caribbean Court of Justice Treaty. The Foreign Affairs Minister believes that there is urgent need to reshape the CARICOM policy agenda. And the Ministry of Public Administration initiates public consultation starting with the TTPDA. Thank you for joining us to our top story. No decision on the TNT request for an amendment to the Caribbean Court of Justice Treaty as CARICOM leaders ended their annual summit in St. Lucia. This from the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar just before leaving Rodney Bay, where the leaders met on the eve of next year's 40th anniversary of the signing in Chaguaramas of the treaty that established the integration movement.
Well, we had very extensive discussions and deep caucus all of yesterday, some of it today, and meetings are continuing. Minister Dukran will stay on for those meetings. It gave us an opportunity with the new structuring of the Conference of the Heads to really go very in depth into issues touching and concerning the community, the CARICOM. Whereas previously we would have sat in open sessions for long periods where you have a lot of others involved. In this way, the heads were able to interact one-on-one on these issues in the deep caucus. The matter touching and concerning Trinidad and Tobago with respect to the Caribbean Court of Justice, we could not arrive at a consensus, and there were some who felt that they needed to get more information, more learning as to the legal implications will such an amendment to the treaty be made. So there was no consensus with respect to that yesterday.
So in your opinion, your legal opinion, are they standing on firm ground? Is there a reason why they should have gone ahead with your proposal for an amendment of the treaty?
Well, there was those who felt that they needed to have more information, and I can only concur with them in that regard. The decision making at the CARICOM is done by consensus, and if you do not have consensus, then you cannot move forward. I respect their decision in that regard, and it remains open.
There are some other fundamental issues that came before the delegates, and that is trade imbalances with Jamaica and Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago.
Certainly, this matter has been around for some time, and indeed when I last met the Prime Minister of Jamaica in Suriname, we had agreed then that a trade mission from Trinidad and Tobago and one from Jamaica would meet for them to try to thrash that issue out. There's only through conversations, through dialogue, that we will continue to have with both countries to see in what ways that trade imbalance can be balanced, be more balanced. Trinidad and Tobago does have a competitive advantage with respect to certain manufactured goods, and I think that is a concern in the other nations. I know my trade minister, former trade minister, had met with the trade minister of Jamaica, but more discussions would need to be carried out. Barbados is now raising similar issues, and certainly we will continue to talk with our CARICOM family. There's no point in one country rising and the other one falling. We have to lift each other up, and so we will work with them to see how best we can address the concerns they have raised.
Your responsibility in the quasi-cabinet is for security, and we understand that the Stoneman Committee has prepared a report on security. Were you privy to that?
Yes. The report is not properly before the conference heads because it was received in draft form, and the ministers with responsibility for security, that particular committee needs to meet on it and to trash it out before it comes for the consideration of heads. So we discussed it yesterday, in effect, to see that it is not properly before the heads, and therefore more time would be needed for that report to be properly handed over to the committee responsible for legal affairs and national security, and then to come to the conference heads. Very interesting. Next year will mark 40 years of the birth of the Caribbean community, and next year Trinidad and Tobago will take the chair. So it is very interesting that both coincide. It is events coming together, some may say divine intervention. So in the very place where it was born, 40 years ago, we will be holding the chair in Trinidad and Tobago. We look forward to taking up that role next year.
So you are leaving St. Lucia, anticipating the 40th anniversary celebrations with a clean bill of health for CARICOM.
There's always room for improvement. I know there are very many concerns, but the fact is that there are such good institutions. You would have heard several of the prime ministers in the opening session speak of it. Cricket is a major, I think a prime example of what the integration movement can achieve. But certainly the University of the West Indies is another institution we can be very proud of. And there's so many others that we can speak of. We have made strides, and of course there is always room for improvement, especially in an environment that is so dynamic, that keeps changing, that we will have to continue to try to improve. And I believe there have been improvements. We can only grow on the strengths that are already there. With respect to what weaknesses that we perceive and that others comment upon, we will have to work to deal with those. And I think the sessions yesterday, those in-depth sessions, really helped us to go a long way in trying to resolve some of the weaknesses as they were and building on strengths within the CARICOM.
And the Honorable Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Dukaran believes that there is urgent need to reshape the CARICOM policy agenda. Speaking with reporters in St. Lucia, he said unless this is done, fiscal policy coordination will remain one of the major stumbling blocks to sustainable integration. Minister Dukaran was analyzing a view by Suriname's president, who told yesterday's opening ceremony that CARICOM countries need to review the way we view each other.
We are neither isolated nor insulated in the Caribbean. Events in Europe are at the doorsteps. And looking ahead is to review the format of the CARICOM process that we've put into place, especially in light of what has happened in Europe. That they too have now found that they did not deepen the integration movement sufficiently. And they're talking now about having fiscal policy be influenced by national jurisdictions. It means policy coordination is a critical part of a deepening of the integration process. And the President of Suriname, I think, was right on the ball when he pointed out that we need to reshape the CARICOM policy agenda in order to be able to move beyond survival into sustainability.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has congratulated all SEA students, in particular those who topped the 2012 examinations. She said once again the denominational schools have excelled because of the emphasis they placed on religious and social values. The Prime Minister also made comments on ways to influence fundamental changes.
I'm sure the winners of the SEA, those who topped the exams, are waiting to hear from you.
Certainly. Let me first of all congratulate all the students who would have today found out which schools they'll be attending, having completed the SEA. And to those top 100 students, special congratulations to them, of course to their parents, to their teachers, and all their significant others who would have helped them in that process. So, Rebecca, congratulations to you. You topped the entire country. Tremendous achievement. Congrats to them all.
I understand that your nephew is also there?
One of my nephews, yes, he's in the top 100. His name is Aidan.
And they've all come from denominational schools, so...
Yeah, I think he attended the Tulsa Trace Hindu School.
That's right.
I have said it before, that the schools are church schools, the denominational schools, they tend to do much better than the non-church schools. And perhaps it's the kind of teaching, learning, the spiritual values that are inculcated in them. And you recall when I was Minister of Education, in fact, I had mandated that every school should have a period of worship every morning, the singing of the national anthem. And perhaps with this character education program that we launched recently, that too should go away. Because on education, it's not just the 3 R's, it's not just writing, reading, and arithmetic. It has to be in other avenues. And I think this is where the denominational schools tend to have an advantage.
Before leaving St. Lucia, the Prime Minister also made comments on ways to influence fundamental changes.
In deep caucus with all the heads, it is now 2:45 and we're now taking a lunch break since just after 9 this morning.
Meaningful discussions?
Very, very meaningful, substantive discussions. We began with issues relating to the governance structure of the CARICOM and the reform of the CARICOM Secretariat. That took us quite a while. We've made some decisions in terms of the way forward for restructuring the Secretariat and also for restructuring the Conference of Heads as we meet to get more meaningful time, the way in which we'll agenda items. All those have been under discussion today with several suggestions and recommendations being taken on board. We also spent some time on cricket. As you know, cricket is the public wealth of the entire CARICOM region, and you may recall that nowhere else in the world do you have 12 independent nations together with 5 that are dependent territories, 70 nations in all, coming together. This is a great example of integration. We talk about integration in CARICOM. So nowhere else in the world do you have it, and this is why it occupies time almost in every meeting of the CARICOM heads for discussion on the way forward. It is true that the West Indies Cricket Board is an independent organization in the sense that it's incorporated under private law, but at the same time there should be a partnership since it is something that has such great benefit and value. So we spent quite some time on issues related to cricket, matters related to Haiti as well, and indeed the heads have agreed for Haiti, on the request of Haiti, to host CARIFESTA in 2015. Other matters related to Haiti, relating to issues about language issues that we would want to consider further to more fully integrate Haiti, given the fact as well that there are other French-speaking countries in the Caribbean who are interested in coming into the CARICOM. So some exciting times ahead, and of course a deep commitment to this integration movement of the CARICOM and to advancing the agenda of the peoples of the CARICOM as a whole.
Former parliamentarian Kamaluddin Mohammed received the region's highest award. And before we take a break, we invite you to stay tuned to TV4 this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. as we pay tribute to Kamaluddin Mohammed.
The iPhone 4S has an all-new camera with 8 megapixels and advanced optics. So it lets you capture stunning photos. And because it's an iPhone, you can do things you never imagined possible with a camera. So maybe the only camera you need is the one on the most amazing iPhone yet.
Welcome back. Building social dialogue and bridging the gap between government and the people. Government's aim being outlined by Minister of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, Errol McLeod, who delivered the feature address at the opening ceremony for the ministry's Connex Expo in celebration of the nation's 50th anniversary and the International Year of Cooperatives 2012. The minister says the initiative is designed to address the lingering disconnect which often leads to misunderstanding about the services available and the channels through which they can be readily accessed.
Small and micro enterprise owners are being invited to get in the know about the Ministry of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprise Development's current initiatives to boost the success of their businesses. Public servants are being invited to exchange ideas and information on how the ministry can better serve them, as students can now get a jump start on the world of work. This, as over the course of the next few days, the public will be privy to a cadre of services offered by over 150 participants, including members of the local cooperative movement. The services include contemporary areas such as ecotourism, fashion design, health and wellness, graphic design, landscaping and horticulture. Minister of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, Errol McLeod, says government is desirous of creating a viable avenue through which its services can engage the attention of the general public in a relaxed setting. As such, the minister is outlining the stated objectives of the ministry's Connex Expo.
Opening a space for small and micro enterprises to thrive as they seek to develop and grow their businesses. 2, creating an atmosphere where small businesses can readily network and interact with other businesses and investors. 3, providing an avenue for mass dissemination of information on the services offered by the Ministry of Labor and its agencies, such as the National Entrepreneurship Development Company, NEDCO, the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies, the Occupational Safety and Health Authority.
Minister MacLeod says this is one of the many efforts through which government proposes to build social dialogue and close whatever the gaps existing between government and the people.
Indeed, government is expected to act as a vehicle of change through which the wheels of productivity are kept in constant motion. Today, the Ministry of Labor and Small and Micro Enterprise Development proposes to ignite that process in a very tangible manner. The linkages between government, business, and labor have become even more critical as we work toward establishing a society premised on equity, justice, and economic sustainability.
The minister is identifying several initiatives which he says are designed to create avenues for business growth and development.
The importance of engendering social dialogue in national conversation and promoting new creative avenues for business growth and development are reflected in initiatives such as the National Integrated Business Incubator System, the Fair Share System, and green jobs. Again, this is in keeping with the ministry's mission of empowerment that is people-centered. If you want to know about starting a business but you are not sure what is required, our IBIS program can help you. Say you want to learn about protecting the environment while increasing productivity levels on your job, check out our Green Jobs initiative. You're thinking about getting the necessary skills and experience to launch yourself into the job market? I invite you to take a walk over to our National Employment Service.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
I bring a message of peace. P-E-A-C-E. It's about patriotism, environment, and citizenship education. Calling you, or youths, between the ages of 14 to 20, become a trainee in the Peace Program nationwide.
Just 6 weeks of peace training starting 9 July.
Come join us 2 days a week.
From 9 to 3.
Over the age of 18.
You want to be an instructor in this program?
Your training starts from the 25th to the 29th of June.
Interested in becoming a trainee or instructor?
You can call us at 625-2652 or 625-9557. Or visit us online at peaceprogram2012@gov.tt.
The Peace Program.
Promoting patriotic citizenship.
An initiative of the Ministry of National Security for the 50th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence.
With just 20 days to go before the opening of the London 2012 Olympic Games, the schedule of the Honorable Anil Roberts, Sport Minister, is a hectic one as he manages his assignment as coach of Olympic medal prospect George Bovell III, coupled with his ministerial duties. In part 2 of our interview with the Olympic medal winning coach, we delve deeper into the training regime of an elite swimmer. Wayne Cunningham has the details.
2004 Olympic medalist George Bovell III will be seeking another trip to the medal ceremony when he competes in the 50-meter freestyle at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Once again, he'll be coached by the Honorable Anil Roberts, and we asked the Minister of Sport what is the most difficult element in preparing an athlete to compete at the highest level.
In the preparation, just concentration to detail. Being, you have no time to get sick. You can't get sick. You can't miss a session. You have to record everything. The nerve-wracking anticipation and the fear of making a mistake, because a lot rides on the coach and his or her understanding of the athlete and preparation. And any miscalculation, that your athlete depends on you, and that stress and that responsibility of ensuring they have a great performance, that is not easy. And then the worst part of coaching is that 25 minutes before the athlete competes, when they disappear down in the waiting room, and you cannot communicate with them, you cannot BBM them, you cannot talk to them on cell phone. There's no communication. That is the longest 25 minutes in a coach's life. Everything is out of your hands. You have no control over anything again. That is the worst time for a coach.
Minister Roberts gave a brief outline of the training regime for an elite swimmer.
During a week, an athlete like George Bovell may do about 9 to 11 sessions in the pool, averaging 2.5 to 3 hours, as well as 4 sessions in the gym, averaging 3 to 4 hours, and then stretching 3 or 4 times a week, averaging 1 hour, plus abdominals, every day half an hour of abdominals. Now that's in the heavy work. After doing all that accumulated work, you then have to come down, taper down from that amount of work, and come down to as little as possible to swim as fast as you can. And that's the least scientific. That's where the coach really has to be brilliant in understanding the athlete and knowing how to get them just right.
The coach then donned his ministerial cap and took the opportunity to thank members of the sporting fraternity who made sacrifices for the Olympic effort.
We as the ministry have ensured that all elite athletes have gotten at least their first tranche. The Ministry of Finance does not just give you all the money one time. You have to get it over a period. And some of our athletes have sacrificed, such as the non-Olympic athletes, the cricketers and the water polo and so on, and I appreciate that and I thank them. They will get their money, but we had to put priority on the ones going to the Olympics because it's a quadrennial thing.
In closing, the minister's sporting competitiveness came to the fore as he sent a message to Olympic-bound boxer Carlos Suarez.
We have a boxer qualified for the first time since 1996 when Kurt Sinnett qualified. But I would like to see someone throw out a challenge to him. If I'm an Olympic boxer and an Olympic coach, I take in that challenge. You don't challenge an Olympian and live to talk about it. I mean, Suarez, I think a young gentleman called Caban or somebody challenged him today. If I was coaching Suarez, I come out one time, I say, sir, meet me in Hazy Crawford Stadium in the gym for 4 o'clock tomorrow. Bring your gloves, because you don't threaten an Olympian when I get in hot and ready to take on the world. You don't challenge me. I mean, I have to teach you a lesson.
Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break. Stay with us.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your WASA bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
Thank you for staying with us. More use of technology and eliminating flaws in the decision-making process are some of the issues being faced or which need to be addressed in the public service. So says the Honorable Minister of Public Administration, Carolyn Sipassad-Bechan. She insists that these need to be looked at if the public service intends to achieve its goal of becoming more citizen-centered.
Minister of Public Administration, the Honorable Carolyn Sipassad-Bechan, believes technology needs to play a greater role in the public service if the service is to become citizen-centric. Mrs. Sipassad-Bechan made the comment during a consultation session with members of the Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association on the transformation of the public service. During the consultation, the minister fielded questions from members of the media on the plan to transform the service.
People, technology, process. How do you plan to bring these three elements together? So if I'm a man on the street and I'm saying to myself, okay, public administration improve service delivery. What is government doing to make sure that I can go into any government office and I can get the service that I deserve?
How do we get that improved service delivery? One of the things here with that diamond, what we are spreading over, widening that level 2, or even down at the bottom, the multi-skilled individual, is training the new public servant to become more customer focused. They no longer focus on what is before them in terms of paper, because that could go to the back end and technology could take care of that. But developing that individual, we talk about the MSO stream, to become that person is the front end. So we're freeing up more people to go to the front desk to deal with people issues, citizen issues.
Mrs. Sipasad Bechan says her ministry aims to make the services the government offers easily accessible and, if possible, available even on cell phones. The minister says it is only a matter of time before the public is able to see a courteous and less inconvenient public service.
We guarantee that when the legislation and all the other necessary building blocks are in place, all citizens, regardless of their age, gender, race, religion, or geography, will be able to access public services with the minimum inconvenience and the guarantee that the services will be provided in a courteous and timely manner.
Meanwhile, the minister says another reason for minor flaws in the public service system lies with the decision-making process. She was responding to another question, this time by the CEO of GISL, Mr. Andy Johnson.
What has to happen for the reform to start there such that the cabinet is not bogged down with all the matters that have to come to it, and that bottlenecks a lot of decision-making in the public service?
Do you know what I think causes that? I think what causes that is the absence of the decision-making capacity within the public service. So, you know, new areas emerge. A simple one this morning that we are dealing with, you know, but new areas emerge. And as a result of that, who takes the decision? No one knows. So as a result of that, what happened? Send it to the highest level to be safe. But if we are able to expand the capacity of decision-making within the public, with the appropriate systems, a lot of that decision-making will move from the cabinet. But a cabinet has to be comfortable and they have to be confident that that decision-making, the quality of that decision-making is there in the public service first before they delegate it.
Minister Sipasad Bechan assures that consultations will be held with different interest groups to ensure a successful transformation of the public service. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us.